It's your boy Colin. I am back with Hundo. We're here to discuss some more NBA content. The last time we were on the podcast, the playoffs were still going on, but we have a new NBA world champion, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shea has won the NBA Finals MVP, the regular MVP, the scoring title, and he has a championship. Hundo, how are you feeling about the playoffs as a whole, and how do you feel about Oklahoma City winning the championship?
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Thunder, man. Best team in the West, best team in the NBA, and finish the job, man. I honestly didn't think they was gonna be able to do it. Uh, like like some of the players mentioned in the championship little parade today, they was like people were saying we was too young. I was definitely one of them people. I was definitely
Yeah,
one of them people, and they shut me up. So shout out to Shay, shout out J Dub, shout out Chet, shout out all them boys out there. They got it done, and we gonna see, man. They got a chance to keep it going.
yeah, not for real, bro. So okay, about the Indiana Pacers, like nobody expected the Pacers to be in the finals. Like we kind of talked about, Tyrese leading them boys and how they, the pace of play kind of affected their run in the East. But how do you feel about the Pacers? Obviously, hope Tyrese gets well with the Achilles injury that happened in Game Seven. But I think when you're looking at their season as a whole, nobody expected them to be here. So, is there any moral victories? How you feel about them?
I guess you could say it's moral victories. I know they don't want to hear that. But like you said, nobody expected him to be there. Tyrese went out there and tried to gut it out, and unfortunately got hurt. That's one thing that I do hate to see, bro. Like when players choose to try to play through an injury and they go out there and get more injured, it's just like dog. Like if you would have just listened to your body, maybe this wouldn't have happened. Maybe if you would have shut it down, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But as you saw in that game, when he went down, they competed for the rest of the second quarter, and in the first half. But when that third quarter came around, wasn't too much that they could do. But like you said, it's gonna be interesting to see, like we talked about in the previous episode when we were talking about the NBA. Like whoever loses, it's gonna be an interesting offseason. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm gonna be looking at now. Like, can they play those role players that was out there balling? Who gonna ask for more money for OKC and Indy for real? But I'm interested to see how these teams gonna look next year.
not for real, bro. And I think, like, going back to your point with Game Seven, by the time we got to before the injury, Tyrese was cooking, and I think for every basketball fan, like, we were robbed of the opportunity to see, two teams healthy going at each other because Tyrese was on track to have one of those games, right? One of
Yeah.
those 30-point nights, maybe a triple double. And I don't know, obviously, McConnell started cooking in the third quarter, but if Oklahoma City would have gotten tight and wouldn't have been able to handle what Tyrese was bringing, so I think as a fan, like obviously, I'm gonna watch the games, but it kind of lost its effect after Tyrese went down because you're just hoping the boys stay close, honestly, because Oklahoma City's defense was insane.
Yeah. Like you said, like we want to see the best versus the best. But like I
Yeah,
said, the boys competed in the second quarter, bro. I think it was like a
yeah,
1 point game at halftime, bro. And I think the Pacers was actually like up one at
yeah,
half. So I'm like, dog, like I didn't expect them boys to keep fighting like that. But then,
yeah,
you go to the locker room and you hear Obi Toppin talking about how, he didn't play his best and it kind of like defeated the guys or whatever. It's just like, dog, like when your leader go down like that, bro, like that gotta be tough. Mentally and physically.
yeah. And I text you a couple of games ago. I think it was like game 4 or 5, whichever one Shea went in and had a excellent game in Greenbridge. I think it was 5, maybe it might have been 4. But I was like, the Pacers lost the series that game because if they would have went up 3-1, I don't think Oklahoma City had enough to come back from 3-1. And obviously we'll kind of talk about later on, but there was a bunch of fouling with Neesmith and Nimhard, and I just don't necessarily believe like it was just the Tyrese going down. I think if you look at earlier in the season, the Pacers kind of lost the series before, and nobody wanted to admit it.
Yeah. Hey, I told you. I done told you about D Smith. If you committing
Yeah,
dumb fouls, I told you. I tried to tell you.
yeah. So all right, so the last episode
Hey, brother, you might cut out, brother. Lost you there.
It's on.
All right, now it's back.
Yeah, so I was saying, last episode we went through 28 different teams and we talked about how they performed this season, and we put on the GM hat and talked about what they should do in the off season. So we got two teams left. So I want to start with the losing team. Let's talk
Okay.
about the Indiana Pacers. Like we said, the losing team can get real interesting. Obviously, you got Tyrese paid, and you're probably going to re-sign Miles Turner. But what do you do with the other guys? Do you bring this same team back and run it back? Because as we know, the East is wide open. But with Tyrese being injured, what does that change with the timetable, and what do you do?
Yeah, I think that injury and pretty much the rest of the injuries in the East is going to determine a lot. Like
Yeah,
you, like I know you mentioned possibly bringing back Miles Turner, but like, do you look at moving him? Like I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to move him, or if he walks, in free agency. Um, I think those role players are going to be key. I think when you look at somebody like Neimark, who's under contract, um, but he's definitely going to have a bigger role next year. So like maybe they slide him in at the point guard and see what he can do as a true point guard. I know you had mentioned that before, about him being more of a true point guard, but now with Halliburton going to be out for pretty much the season probably, with this torn Achilles, like this is a perfect time to see what Neimark can do, as a true point guard. So whether that's an audition for other teams or a possibility, for a bigger role as that, second type star alongside Halliburton whenever he comes back. You look at somebody like a TJ McConnell, like you said, he played big in the third quarter. Do you re-sign him? I don't even know if he's like a free agent or not, but like he might be looking for some more money. So it's going to be interesting. I definitely think they bring back, a Siakam, a Neimark. But I think everybody else for real is like, yo, if we can get somebody better, hey, anything's on the table right now.
what do you do with Benedict?
That's interesting because he was starting at one point in the season, then he was coming off the bench. So now it's
Yeah,
like, did you lose faith in him? Did you just want a punch off the bench? How does he feel about getting benched too? And like, I don't know, bro. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to move him. They're definitely in a good spot because they have these young pieces that are tradable.
yeah.
The question
I,
is, if you do try to trade one of them, who are you bringing in? Because, like I said, you got Halliburton that's going to be gone for a year, pretty much next season. So, do you bring in another star? Like, what position do you bring in? You already got Siakam, you got Neimark. Like I said, Miles Turner could be an option. So, do you bring in a better center or a wing player? Like, they're in an interesting spot.
yeah, I personally think they should run it back. I think you re-sign Miles, give him like something reasonable. I wouldn't go max, but probably like a 3 or 90, something where he's getting probably like 20 a year. I feel like that's reasonable. And honestly, I think you do pay if I think you pay Benedict something reasonable, but I think you keep him around because this scoring punch you do need this year. Because the thing about the East is it's not wide open in terms of just the championship contending, but even just making the playoffs. I feel like even the Pacers without Tyrese could slide into the playoffs. Um, and depending on the scoring punch they have from Benedict, if Neimark's able to run the one, kind of like he did in Gonzaga, just take over the offense, Benedict could still come off the bench, or he could run the two. And I think that's still a decent team because you're gonna have Siakam, you're gonna have Miles, you're gonna have, still a decent bench with like I assume you still bring, you bring back Obi Toppin, Ben Shepherd, all those boys. Um, yeah, I don't see any reason to break it up because you're still top six even without Tyrese, and you proved in that third quarter that you can hang out. You can at least hang with OKC. You might not be able to beat them, but you can still get there. And by the time the playoffs roll around, who knows what Tyrese Hill's going to be?
When you look at a team like Indiana, right?
Yeah,
And even like the Bucks or even like the Celtics, right? That have these injuries to these star players. When you look at them and you're looking at this upcoming season, right? How do you think this upcoming season will impact them once these stars are back? Whether that's rotation wise, whether that's production wise, how do you think that'll play out? Now, I know it's
Yeah,
early, we don't know yet, but what are your thoughts?
yeah. I think kind of like what we're talking about in the group. Like when you look at both OKC and the Pacers, depth really won, especially for OKC. Like you have guys like Kenrich Williams, Kassan Wallace, being able to just throw guys that can get you decent minutes. And I feel like for all of those teams you name, their strategy is to go get guys, but it's not guys to like take over the position. It's guys that eventually, when those guys come back, can I bring them off the bench and kind of circulate them in the rotation. So you might not go get the best point guard out there. You might go get like a Tyus Jones, who's like when he comes back, he can still give you 10 to 15 a night. And like in terms of big swings, the fact that everybody is kind of depleted outside like the Cavs and the Magic, I think even your backups can get you to the playoffs. So like even like with the Celtics, JB, Derek White, KP, and Anthony Simons, that can still get you at least to the 8 seed. So whenever JT comes back, you're just gonna need Anthony to kind of everybody slide down a slot. Anthony, you're gonna be not the number 2 scorer, you're gonna be the number 3 scorer now. And you kind of need more plug and play guys now. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I would hope that's the mindset. I hope teams are not going out here trying to, hit a home run like you said,
Yeah,
and bring in this star type player. But I mean, if given the opportunity, why not? If the Pacers can go get a Giannis, why not?
who you adding in that trade? Who you giving up? So Pascal.
Hey, whoever y'all want for Giannis, I'll give up. I'll give up Pascal. He would probably have to go. I probably wouldn't want to give him up, but he would probably have to go. Um, and I mean, shoot, Matherin, Neesmith. I'm trying to hold on to Neimark, me personally.
But I think my only gripe with that though is like I think we're witnessing a changing of the guard in the league. Like that super team model just doesn't work anymore with these aprons. Because like if you look at even at these two teams this year, it's all about depth. Like there's no like super team that's getting far. And even with Tyrese being out, you're hoping that Neimark and Giannis can stay healthy and get you into a prime playoff position because you still have to play 16 games in the playoffs regardless. And by the time Halliburton gets back, is your chemistry messed up? How does that affect Giannis? Because Halliburton needs the ball, Giannis needs the ball, and then what does that do for Neimark? Is Neimark just going to be standing in the corner and just waiting for an open three? Like, I think a lot of those home run swings aren't going to be the same as we witnessed, like with Braun, as we witnessed with KD, Kyrie, and that. I think that's gone.
I don't know, bro. I feel like it's still gonna be some teams out there that's trying to land a big fish.
Yeah,
Um, Now whether every team should try to do that, absolutely not. Like you said, like the depth that we saw from both of these teams this year, great. But in the same breath, that might not work for everybody.
yeah,
Just how the star model might not work for everybody. The depth and the bench option might not be good for everybody. Can you
yeah,
get those role players? Can you bring in those type of role players that these teams have? Because if you don't, now you looking sorry. You got all these
that's right.
players and you looking sorry when you had an opportunity to go get, a superstar type player.
Yeah, but I think with that though, like part of the benefit with not Minnesota, Indiana's role players is like there's a level of continuity. Those boys were just in the Eastern Conference Finals. Now they've gotten to one finals. Now you're able to play off of each other. You know how everybody plays, especially like with McConnell. Everybody knows their role. See, sometimes people try to bring in role players that don't believe they're role players or want to be the best role player. Go ahead.
Everybody knows their role this year. Money changes
That's okay.
things. Success changes things. If them boys start asking for more money, or if they asking for more minutes, that's fracturing. That's fracturing that locker room. Like you
Yeah,
said, they just got to the East. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They just made it to the NBA Finals. if any of them role players talking about they want more minutes or they think they should be starting or they want more money or they get paid by Indiana this year, that could change things going into next year. Yeah, them role players did good this year, but hey, like I said, more money, more minutes, that could change the situation real quick.
Yeah,
We
and
saw what happened to Bruce Brown.
that's fact. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'll give you that one because Denver was never the thing. I give you that. I think that first 10 minutes of Game 7 was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Tyrese. Like, obviously, you don't want anybody ever injured, but I think if Tyrese would have been healthy and had another stinker, it would have been ugly in terms of how we viewed him coming out of that Cleveland series. People were talking about superstar, and after Game 1 of the NBA Finals, when he had that buzzer beater, like people were ready to crown him as like the king of the East. And we saw him have a couple of stinkers, and so it went from like like Tyrese is the man to where is Tyrese. But I think that first 10 minutes, it was like, man, he was getting ready to have a legendary performance, and him getting injured, it gives that what if taste in everybody's mouth. It's like, man, Tyrese is still one of the ones. Like, we just missed it because of injury. And so like I'm interested to see from this all season into next year, like for I think you mentioned it a while back, teams trying to build around guards instead around bigs because it's kind of easier to handle the offense and the pace of play. But it's interesting to see how the league views like Tyrese because we talked about him being the most overrated player voted by the players early in the season. And now the question is he a star? Is he a superstar? What do you think?
Yeah, and that was something that we were hearing, in the media throughout this series. Like you said, there was a couple games in this series and in previous series where Buddy wasn't scoring in the first half. And they like, yo, Tyrese got to take over. Like Tyrese got to
Right.
look for his shot more. So like you said, that injury when it happened, I mean, he had 9 points already and hit three threes. He was getting going early. So it's
Yeah.
like you said, like it leaves a sour taste in our mouth of like, yo, like where does he stand? Like we didn't get those answers in this series. Now we're going to miss a whole year without him. So when he comes back, is he going to be in that conversation again? Like, is Wemby going to be like the face of the league by then? Like, the
Right.
conversation could be very different by the time he comes back, for good or for worse.
Yeah. That's real. So okay, let's move over to OKC. So I guess juxtapose Tyrese's question mark with pretty definitive marks with SGA. SGA, he did something that a lot of many people can't say they've done in terms of winning MVP and win a championship in the same season and win a Finals MVP. Um, what is the narrative going around SGA right now? Because people claimed him as the foul merchant. People didn't want to give him the MVP. They said they should give it to Jokic. But with him winning the championship, what does this do to his legacy?
Yeah. Let's not forget that you mentioned a very important part that people didn't even want to give him the MVP because he was a foul merchant.
Yeah,
Like, let's not forget that. Like that was a big conversation around SGA before these playoffs started. It was like,
yeah,
bro, he not even like that, bro. He just get fouled a lot. That was a legit conversation, bro. Now it's people saying, hey, he might be the best player in the world. He might be the best player in the league. So it's like, yo, how do we go from that to where we are now in a matter of weeks? Literally. Like he won a championship, yeah, cool. But like, bro, some of y'all are bogus. Some of y'all are bogus, bro. Cause I ain't forget what y'all was saying in April about this man being a foul merchant and how he wasn't even like that. And now this man that won a championship, led his team to a championship, and now he possibly the best player in the world. Y'all are bogus.
that's true.
But to answer your question, he definitely showed that like he's one of them ones. Like when we talking about face of the league, like he's definitely in that conversation. Even he answered the question in the post game conference. He was like, "Yeah, like maybe I am the best in the world." So it's like, bruh, he has nothing left to prove at this point, bro. Like you said,
Yeah,
led the league in scoring, averaging 30 plus in the past 2 seasons. Like this is consistent. Like this is not no. He had a good run. He's been consistent the past 2 years.
Is he the best point guard in the league?
He might be the best scoring guard in the league.
Hmm. Okay.
I don't know
Kind of
if I
like
can give him point
Tyrese
guard, but I
Haliburton.
mean he's definitely the best scoring guard in the league. I just view the point guard position a little bit differently than other people. Like when I think
Yeah.
of point guard, bro, like I want a traditional type, like point guard, like really facilitating for real, like running the offense. Like he's a good scorer. He's the best scoring guard for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think there was like a lot of auditioning going on for Sam Presti and Mark Dedenholt during the finals, with them playing like your Kassan Wallace, your Ken Rich Williams. Um, I think you're trying to get some minutes out of those guys, but also try to see what you have going into the future. I think Kassan Wallace showed that he can stay on the NBA court and play. Kenrich Williams and Aaron Wiggins gave you a couple of good minutes. But like, what do you do if you're Sam Presti now? Because you know everybody in Oklahoma City probably wants you to run it back, but there were a couple of games where I texted you, I was like, "Where's Chet?" Right? Where he got invisible in the finals, and outside of the 40-point game from Jalen, there are also a couple of moments where it's just like, okay, this seems like the SGA show, and that's it. So what do you do going forward if you're OKC?
I think the good thing for them is that they won. They got that monkey off the back to say that they are champions. I think for next year, you definitely probably do running back. They might bring in, a few other, role players, but when you look at their roster, I think I sent it to you a couple hours ago, but like under contract until 2027, you got SGA, Lou Dort, Caruso, Hartenstein, Isaiah Joe, Wiggins, Kenrich Williams, Wallace, Dylan Jones, Nikola Topic, Chet, and Jalen Williams. So it's like, bruh, like that's pretty much your team. Like that's everybody who pretty much played. So I mean, you really don't have to do much. I mean, if you want to run it back, sure, run it back. If you think you can go with all the picks that you have and some of these role players, if you think you can make upgrades, true, why not? I mean, it's gonna come down to what Sam Presti wants to do at this point. Like they're in a great position because they have what what does this say? 27 draft picks in the next 6 years.
Yeah,
They have two first round picks this year.
that's
So
great.
they're definitely like they're in prime position to, go get a superstar type player if they want to. Or they could keep the same model and running back. And like I said, bring in, one or two more role players to fill needs and continue to running back.
Yeah, I honestly think this won't be they won't have the same effect. Like this constructed team won't have the same effect as it did this past season, just because I think the West is going to get harder, right? And I know that San Antonio will be in the mix. So your eighth seeds, like even the Grizzlies, like a lot. You think about it, the Grizzlies and the Nuggets, they play back to back in the playoffs, and both of them right before the playoffs went through a lot of dysfunction, right? Taylor Jenkins gets fired, um, Mike Malone gets fired, and I think there will be a little bit more stability going into next season. Um, so I just don't think there will be a lot of like they beat. I think they swept the Grizzlies, right? And even with the dysfunction, they still took Denver to 7 games. So I really think a big move is coming. I just don't think it'll be next year. Maybe if Giannis is still around, then 2027 sweepstakes. But I would sell high on Chet right now because I don't see Chet changing. Like we wanted more from Chet ever since he was at Gonzaga, and it's like Chet is who he is. Like he can erupt for 20 points and a half like he did versus the Grizzlies one game. But also too, there can be moments where he's just not assertive and he gets kind of lost in transition. I just feel like right now I don't think that's going to be a franchise changing player.
Couple
And
of
I could be wrong.
questions.
Yeah,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
not go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just said I could be wrong.
Couple of questions though. So one, and we talked about this what when the playoffs first started. or what, second round maybe. I don't know when we talked about it, but we talked about it during the playoffs. But we were talking about OKC's style of play and how it is just kind of like Shea, isolation type ball. Everybody standing around to watch. Do you think their play style can help Chet if they were to change how they played?
See, the thing is, I would blame it on play style, but there was a couple of moments where it was just like you said, forgot what game that was. I think that was versus the Timberwolves when they went to overtime and Chet knew he had a mismatch. Like those
Nah,
times
nah,
you just
nah.
got to
It
get
was it was against the Nuggets because Jamal Murray was guarding Buddy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like those times you just got to be more assertive. Like those are the
Mhm.
times you go and check in SGA's face because I don't care who it is. It's like, hey, I need the ball, right? And I'm missing that, right? If he did all that and still wouldn't get the ball, now we can blame the play style. But there's just times where he just kind of is passive because the only reason I say that is because when I look at Jalen Williams, there's times even when Shay's on the court where Jalen Williams will recognize a mismatch and go get the ball and he'll take Pascal Siakam to the rim. And I think those kind of like um, hidden traits, those intangible things, Chet doesn't have. And the thing is, we've been saying that ever since the tag.
Do you think that's a conversation that they can have or that they should or would have in the offseason of like, yo, Chet, we need you to be more aggressive?
You can. I mean, I think ceiling for me, like, and it's no disrespect, but I think even in his best year, like, it would be like a Kristaps Porzingis. Like, Kristaps kind of set into his role where, like, he can be, like, even for us, like, as a three versus the Mavericks, he was unstoppable, right? Because he just always had a mismatch. But also this year, sometimes it was like, where's KP? And he would just kind of let the offense pass him by. And I think that's like a more favorable comp for him now. He'll still make a lot of money in this league, but there was a point after KP left the Knicks, we just knew he was never going to be one again. Nobody expected him to be a one, and I think that's the same thing for Chet. We just got to you got to fit into this role now.
So with that being said, right, you talked about possibly moving Chet, but who do you bring in a situation if they do, decide to move on from Chet?
I think with the pace of play now, they just need more bodies. Like I, you got Hartenstein under contract. You just need somebody who is willing to like honestly, if they could have gotten like even like a Julius Randle, like that would definitely be a decent piece because he has the physicality to bang down low, but also too he could knock down an occasional three. And we've seen Julius even with the Knicks, Lakers, like he's able to command the ball and recognize mismatch and punish them. Like I think that's the thing that they need. They don't need another person just standing out because you already have three people around the rim. So somebody like that, not a big name, but somebody who can fill in the spot.
My only question with Julius Randle, for example, since you mentioned him, who's the second option? Is it Jalen Williams or is it Randle? And how do they balance that out? Because I feel like you have to have some type of like defined roles when you're bringing in these type of players. Because like Julius Randle has always been first or second option. Now you bring him to a Thunder team. Now it's questions if they keep J Dub. Mike cut out, brother. Mike cut out. That brother microphone is broke. Can't hear you. I don't know what you're saying, brother. That brother's talking to
I don't know.
himself.
It's kind of like SGA and the SGAs. Like a two could pop up any day. So I don't know to answer your question.
Yeah, brother, we didn't hear none of that you said, brother. Your mic, your microphone had went out. We caught the end of it. Oh man, try that again.
No, I was gonna say it's kind of like death by a thousand cuts. It's, you don't really have. I took a pop up any day because it's like SGA and the SGAs, right? There's times where it felt like Chet was the two, and a lot of times in the playoffs, it felt like Jalen Williams was the two. So I mean, for the sake of their team, I just feel like it's kind of like play where you can fit in rather than like having a defined two.
Okay, but with that same mindset, that same philosophy, why can't Chet stay around?
It
If
can,
Jay,
but I'm saying for the price though, because
mm-hmm,
the price the with the CBA the price is only going up.
mm-hmm.
I feel like Julius is kind of establishing his role, and if anything, he's going to be making the same money, or it's going to be a decline. You're talking about players who's going to be on the uptick, and if I had to pick between SGA, Jalen Williams, and Chet, I'm picking SGA and Jalen Williams. I just don't know. Chet would be the X factor if I'm trying to build a dynasty.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you. I agree. I definitely think Chet is definitely going to be the odd man out if when it comes to that time where they have to pay everybody. Yeah, he definitely going to be the odd man out.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess like for the sake of conversation, when we talk about like the off season, there's been a couple of moves that we have witnessed. A couple of like actually a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, we witnessed the Desmond Bain trade, which kind of like sparked the dominoes of all these other trades that are falling. So like let's stay there. So Memphis traded Desmond Bain for four first and KCP. But and everybody said that this is really a sick like Memphis waving the white flag and saying that core they had with Bain, JJJ, and Morant trying to get the NBA Finals over. And some people even speculated a couple of days after that JJJ or John might get traded. We haven't seen anything come from those reports. But what do you feel about the trade and who won?
Um, I know we were talking about the Grizzlies during the playoff, or like right before the playoffs had started. Um, I don't think we brought up the topic of like Bane being the one to possibly get moved. I know we I know we talked about Jared Jackson. Um, so it kind of shocked me when it happened. I was like, dang, they traded Bane. Like I didn't expect them to trade Bane. He was under contract. So it wasn't like they had just paid him what last year. He had just signed his extension.
Yeah, like
So I I was low key shocked by that move. I was like, oh, like they traded Bane. Um, I know everybody been talking about the first round picks that they gave up, the four first round picks that they gave up, but I think Orlando won the trade. In all honesty, like you get a 3 point shooter, you get an established player. Yeah, the four first round picks might have been a lot, but like let's be honest, those picks were not about to be high. Like the Magic are when healthy, the Magic are a top four, top five team in the East. That's not a high draft pick.
mhm.
So, and when you look at it, they haven't been, you know, these draft kings. No pun intended. Um, but
Yeah,
like,
sponsorship, if you like the sponsorship.
hey, facts. We promote betting. But like you look at Paolo, you look at Franz, you look at Jalen Suggs. Outside of that, I mean, their draft picks really haven't been doing much of anything. Also in that trade was Cole Anthony, who they drafted in 2020. And I mean, Cole Anthony, cool. Like, but they drafted Anthony Black, what, last year before
Yeah.
last? So it's like clearly he wasn't the answer, Cole Anthony, so he can go. But also for the Grizzlies, it's like, bruh, you got Ja, you got what was it, Wells
Yeah, time. Yeah,
already.
Jalen.
So you got a starting guard, you got a backup guard. Okay, you get KCP. He probably could start at shooting guard. But what y'all do with Cole Anthony?
Is who's the Grizzlies' backup point guard? Is it still Kennedy Chandler from Tennessee?
Bro, is it not Wells?
Yeah, I mean,
that was my thing. It's like, bro, like you have these guards already, bro. Like what are y'all doing with Cole Anthony? I mean, KCP, you had a 3-and-D type shooter, but he's older. A bad contract. He didn't really do much this past season.
do you
I
think it's
think
a bigger play though? Do you think they're kind of trying to package those picks? Maybe Cole might not stay in Memphis. Maybe they try to go get another star or another player. Why wouldn't you send him to Denver and go get like an MPJ or somebody else?
I mean that's cool, but you
But that's
had Bane.
like, yeah, but I feel like part of it is I don't know in terms of the contract situation, but I think some of this is just trying to get under the apron and trying to make a bigger move later in later in the season.
I mean, I hear you, but me personally, trade Jaren Jackson. Just blow it up, bro. You already got Edie. You got Wells. You got these young pieces. You got Scottie Pippen Jr. You have some young pieces already. If you want to follow the model of Indiana and just build around Ja, but clearly this grouping hasn't worked. Now, granted, they've had a lot of injuries in previous years, and as we saw when they were healthy, they got up to the number 2 seed.
Mm-hmm.
So our conversation a few weeks ago was, yo, if this team is healthy, they could do something. And then they go and trade Bane. Like, what's the direction of the team? Like, y'all definitely not about to win, especially in the Western Conference. Like we just talked about, the Western Conference is getting nothing but tougher. You go trade an integral piece to your franchise and Desmond Bane, and you still got to pay Jaren Jackson.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a fire sale after they traded Bane because I think that's the smartest thing to do. You're going to be in the middle
Exactly.
for the next 3 to 5 years, so it's like for Ja's career, I think Desmond Bane he could space the floor. Now you get to a situation where Ja is not really a great shooter. He's more of a downfield type of type of guard. And what does that do for the overall look of the offense? Because you're getting the rest of your offense from Jaren Jackson. I guess you're going to audition Gigi Jackson to see if he can step into like the starter role. Like you said, you got Wells and Edie, but the lane is really clogged if you don't have a lot of shooting. And Edie's not stepping out, so I'm just curious to know what their offense is going to look like.
Bro, it's about to be pick and pop.
Yeah.
If they
But
if
with
they
who?
resign Jaren, huh?
I said like with who? Just Jaren like picking up?
Yeah. it's gonna be Ja and Jaren taking turns.
I guess
Literally.
I don't know.
I mean, exactly. Like that's not doing nothing, bro. Like y'all about to be not even in the play in the Western Conference. And then if you do re-sign Jaren Jackson, bro, if John say he want to be gone after this season, then what y'all gonna do?
Yeah. What about making a trade for Jalen Brown? Like you package Cole, you package GG, maybe even Wells, and go get JB. I think JB is a little bit better. Well, I think JB is better than Desmond Bain, and I think he gives you more versatility from shooting and down the scoring option.
What did Kendrick Lamar say? It's not enough. That's not enough, bro. That's not enough. If I'm trading Jalen Brown, bro, I'm getting Jaren or I'm getting John. I'm getting one of them two.
Okay, what
Is
about
a part of
Jaren?
that trade, huh?
What about Jaren for Josh straight up? I mean Jaren for JB straight up.
If I'm the Celtics,
Yeah,
absolutely not,
Jaren. Okay, Jaren.
bro. Would
You
you
don't have to.
take Jaren Jackson on your team for Jalen Brown straight up? Nothing else?
Oh, that ain't my problem. I'm,
You a Celtics
I'm
fan?
no, I'm
Would you
saying
do
like for me, no. We
that?
talking about the Grizzlies right now. Like, I feel like for Memphis, like, what are you doing? Are we winning or are we tanking? Like,
Bruh.
what if we're swinging for the fences? He's the only piece I can think that's available that is like, okay, I'll go trade Jarrett. You don't have any more firsts, so it have to be Jaren, GG, Cole. Like, it has to be a plethora of young pieces.
Hey, and you know what Memphis front office is saying in their meetings?
What?
Jaren's untouchable.
Okay, then.
Idiots. Idiots.
Okay,
Idiots.
never mind then. If y'all don't want to win, then I guess we can keep going. What are we doing here?
Bruh. That's what I'm saying. Like when they traded Bane, it's just like, bro, like what's the direction of Memphis, bro? Like, I think that's the biggest question. Like we said, the West is only getting tougher. It's only getting tougher. You already was like not even a top team in the West. Like, and you go trade Desmond Bain? Like, bro, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Bro, if I'm Job, bro, y'all done fired Taylor Jenkins. Granted, if they ain't had the best relationship, oh well. I'm not trying to be there losing again. Hey, Job, man, I don't condone violence. Bring a gun to the arena, brother. Just get suspended. Because this ain't it, brother. It's
Yeah,
about to be some dark
I don't.
days in Memphis, brother.
Yeah, you had your chance. It's kind of like when they had the Conley, Allen, Mark Gasol, and everybody knew it was over, and it took them a while to admit it. Then they just started trading everybody. That's where the Memphis is right now. Y'all had just chance probably 2 years ago, maybe. Um, Whenever they all going to the conference finals. If they would have beat the Warriors, that whatever that series was, that was their best chance. Other than that, it's just been a bunch of meh, and I don't think meh is worth that money they're paying now for both of them.
Yeah, yeah. They got
Yeah,
a new
so
coach.
yeah,
Go ahead and blow it up. Go ahead.
yeah, just you try the jaw experiment, let them go. You can always bounce back. Um, let's get some more exciting news, right? I think this is the biggest news of the off season. They dropped this news like right before Game Seven, and more people were talking about this than the actual Game Seven. Um, Kevin Durant. We've been waiting to see where he would end up, and he lands in Houston in a trade for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and the number 10 pick in this year's draft and 5 second-round picks. Um, how you feeling about
Uh, I mean, that was one of his preferred destinations.
it? Yeah,
Um, so I mean, good for KD, good for the Rockets. Once again, we talked about the Suns already, bro. What are y'all doing? Was that the best y'all could get,
what are y'all doing? What
bro?
are y'all
Like
doing?
what? Dylan
A bunch,
Brooks?
a bunch of shooting guards: Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Dylan Brooks, Jalen Green, Grayson Allen, and no bigs.
They still have not addressed the problem in the room. You don't have a true point guard, and you don't have bigs, and you trade KD for another shooting guard and crash out Dylan Brooks in a first round pick. I know some better options out there.
Draymond was on the podcast, and everybody was roasting him. I was listening to it on the way home, and because he made a comment saying like, even though you went to the finals, your team is not necessarily close. And like, there is some validity to his statement because I'm looking at the Phoenix Suns like 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they were just in the finals, and we are talking about them being constant finals contenders. Obviously, CP3 leaves, Monty Williams gets fired, I believe, and that team just
He
looks
went
completely
on.
different.
Yeah.
And I think like the problem is sometimes when you think you're on the cusp, you'll make these wild moves because you want to stay as a contender instead of being honest about what you really are. And I feel like once everybody disbanded from the Phoenix Suns, they traded away. I think they had Aiton with KD, or was Aiton gone before KD got there? Did they
I
trade
think
Aiton?
Aiden I think Aiden was Aiden might have been a part of that move.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking it was around that same time. Yeah, but it's like they swung for the fences all these times instead of just building and just kind of organically letting the team flourish. And it's kind of looking a lot like the Nets. It's like, man, we make all these swings and we're not admitting that we've made a mistake. And I think that's kind of where the Suns are right now. It's like they're trying to hold on to something that is has passed them by.
And with you saying all of that, take everything you just said into consideration.
Hmm.
Devin Booker still wants to stay.
That's okay.
Idiot. 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 Bro, like you said, they were just in the finals. It was CP3, D Book, Bridges was on that team, Cam
Yeah,
Johnson was on that team,
yeah,
Aiton.
we're
Yeah. And who's the only one left? Devin Booker.
Kevin Booker.
Bro, get out of Phoenix. I said it previously. Bro, get out of Phoenix, bro. I'ma say it again. Get out of Phoenix, bro.
Yeah.
I know you helped choose the head coach. Bro, get out of Phoenix, bro. Them people do not care, bro. They are not trying to win, bro.
So uh, I guess let's be realistic. I don't think Devin Booker's leaving. But it's like, what do you do? Do you package Jalen Green and go get what, a point guard? Like, what is Jalen Green's value? I'm trying to understand what their plan is.
Their plan needs to be trade Devin Booker. I know you said be realistic, bro. Get that man out of there, bro. Like, bro, like y'all are not. Once again, in the Western Conference, it's only getting tougher.
Yeah,
I understand KD didn't want to be there. He wanted out. Bradley Beal don't want to be there. He just happens to have a no trade clause. So he just not going anywhere. Y'all just not gonna send him anywhere. Bro, y'all need a point guard. Y'all need some bigs. Y'all don't have a bench already. Y'all barely got a draft picks. Your best asset is Devin Booker. Trade him. Get something in return. Because I'm pretty sure once they're sorry, Devin Booker's tune is gonna change. Yeah, he want to be there now. Ain't no telling. It could change in 6 months.
change the
It
signal.
might not even take all year for him to realize, bro, we suck. I don't see no type of future with this team, and he's gonna want out. Trade Devin Booker. I mean, shoot, if you want to, bro, keep Jalen Green. If you feel like he's a suitable piece, build around Jalen Green. He's younger. He just averaged 20. Yeah, he folded in the playoffs, but he just showed you he can average 20 all season.
Yeah,
But you have to get some type of assets. They don't have no type of assets.
I think at this point is really you got to forego this season. You just got to go get picks. Just go get if
Clearly.
you yeah if you're getting booked if you're trading book, you want to go to a team that has a boatload of picks that needs relevance and just go get the picks. Like
Hey, hey, do you go get checked? And they
yeah,
got picks.
I'm thinking of like honestly whatever like because there's a desperate team like a Chicago will give them a boatload of picks. Brooklyn, I mean, it's not about where I don't know if they're gonna treat him like KD and just let Devin decide where he wants to go. But I would just trade Portland. You just traded away your scoring option with Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Go get a bunch of picks, high picks.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see that for Portland. And like we talked about before with Portland, like they were right there on the cusp of making the play in. Like
You
they were
still got a
what
decent,
three? Yeah, they were like 3 games out from making the play in.
yeah,
Like you said, they just traded Anthony, so it's like, yo, where's the scoring gonna come from? Go get D Book.
yeah. That's okay. So let's talk about Houston. Um, so, KD is obviously the number one option, or Sengun. Then you still were able to retain one of the Thompson twins. You have Jabari Smith, Cam Whitmore, Tyrone Eason, and still a couple of picks. And you obviously have like Reed Shepard. So, what? How do you feel from Houston's perspective? How do you think the trade went?
I think they're good. I think, like you said, with KD, it gives them that legit, first scoring option. Now, granted, KD is what he'll be, what, 36, 37
36, yeah, 37.
next year, but he has shown that he could still get 27 a game. Now, if you're Houston, of course you don't want him to be the first option, but I mean, sure, when you look at it, I mean, he has to be the first option. Unless you're running your offense through Sengun.
Yeah,
Are you willing to do that? I mean, I view him as like a baby Jokic. I don't think he's on Jokic's level yet, but he could definitely, get to that level at some point. But as of right now, I think gives him that legit score, that legit closer. So if anything, he helps him in that situation. With Ime, they're going to play defense. Amin Thompson's going to be guarding the best player on the other team. If they can get out in transition and run, they'll be fine. I think the biggest thing is going to be point guard. I know Van Fleet possibly could be coming back. Um, but like you said, they have depth at the positions where they need depth. They re-signed Steven Adams to back up Sengun. So they're in a good spot, man. I'm not going to say they the favorites to win the West or nothing, but they definitely going to be in the mix again. And as we saw, they finished second last year. You add in a closer in KD, and I view him as like these days, like I view him as like an assassin almost,
yeah,
like a merchant killer almost, bro. Like teams hire him, sign him, he come in and deliver. He gets the job done.
yeah. Okay. Now, taking everything you said, I think I'm going the other way. I don't really enjoy like seeing this trade because I feel like KD, you're right. He is a silent killer at this time. Like nobody is ever saying, "Hey, KD, I need you to run a team and go get me a championship anymore." But if we're asking him to be on a roster, he can still get you 27, 28 tonight. Now, the only silver lining is they said Houston's not done. They're still going to be aggressive with the pieces that they have left to go get another star. But I think as the team is currently constructed, like the same thing I just said, like with Phoenix, you can say about Houston. Don't get caught up in the fool's gold because just because you were number two in the West this year, the West is only going to get tougher. And a lot of that youthful energy, the youthful presence, I don't know if KD is necessarily like ready to do at 36 because, like you said, Ime is going to make them play defense. And I felt like KD fit more of a like the San Antonio Spurs, where you're going to have the youthful presence with Castle, Fox, and Wimby, and KD is just there to really take you over the top. I think he, at this point in his career, he's more of an over the top player that you add onto your roster rather than take you there and get you over the top. So hopefully they make another move. He doesn't necessarily feel all the pressure on him because I don't think he's that kind of player anymore. We're not going to see that 2022, 2021 KD at Brooklyn when it was like he literally got everything he wanted and could carry Brooklyn on his shoulders. I just don't see that anymore, and that's not fair for him at 36, right? Because he's not Braun, right? And I think for him, we can appreciate his greatness while also understanding where he is in his career. And I just don't think Houston's going to need a lot more from him right now with this roster than I think he's capable of delivering.
Question: What? Who's that other star that they bring in though?
I don't know. Like people, like obviously, the internet has been saying Giannis. I don't know what that is and what pairs well with KD and Sengun. Like now,
Yeah,
like we just said, I don't see them trading book, you know, KD and book, but like they need another punch because the thing is, like Sengun is going to be a problem, and hopefully he continues to ascend. But Sengun has to get you 25 a night. That's the expectation because then you're asking KD to put up 40 every night, and that's just not feasible. Where else are you going to get that score from? You're not going to. And if they can unleash Cam Whitmore, does Reed Shepard play? And like we said at the beginning of the show, what is Jabari Smith? who where is that other scoring coming from? Because we know that Houston had a problem with their half court offense. That doesn't just change with KD. Like that's more of an institutional problem that they do. So
Hey, hey, brother, I hear you, but KD is a better scorer than Jalen Green. More
yeah,
consistent.
absolutely.
He averaged more. I think their defense is going to make up for a lot of their struggles on the offensive end. And like I said, with KD being a better scorer and a more efficient scorer than Jalen Green, that's going to help. Now, granted, they lost Brooks as well. You can replace that scoring. Like you said, if they can unlock Whitmore and unlock Reed Shepard, that's going to unlock more scoring. I think the
Yeah,
good thing about this trade is they kept those players.
yeah,
They
I
didn't
would
have to
say
give
that.
up a lot of their role players or their bench players. But if you can get more from them with this trade, yo, you're in a great spot if you're Houston. And despite their lack of half court scoring and offense, they were second in the West still.
Yes, I just think the West is going to look a lot different than it did this past season. Like you get another year of LeBron, Luka, you get the San Antonio, their roster, you get Dallas. It's just going to look different. And I think when you look at KD's career,
Mm-hmm.
he's thrived well with the dynamic point guards, right? You have Russ, then you go over to Steph, then you got Kyrie, and I think the problem with Phoenix, if we're being honest, they had nobody to run the offense. It was really Devin Booker playing point guard sometimes, and like it was just a bunch of dysfunctional like offense. That doesn't change with Houston. Like we hope that Fred VanVleet can knock down a couple of shots. What,
Hey, Fred Van Fleet can run the offense.
bro? There was a couple of moments in the playoffs this past season with the Warriors, but where it was just like, where is the offense coming from? Because it was not coming from Van Fleet. We can be honest.
Hey, he not. I'm talking about running the offense. I'm talking about getting the ball to KD. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
but
about.
all those guys are
KD
just named.
KD is the offense.
Yeah, but I think you're missing the point, bro. Because when I talked about all those 3 point guards that KD played with, Russ, Steph, and Kyrie, those guys could get a bucket. Those guys he could say, "Hey, go run the offense and get me 20 a night, and I will take over when I need to." He doesn't have that with Houston, and
Nah,
you're
he
hoping
don't. He
Amen takes
don't.
a
But he
step,
got Sengun.
and
We
that's what I'm
we
saying. The
we
pressure's on
we,
big.
we, we haven't seen him play with a player like Sengun before.
We have, but
Sengun do
Sengun has to
everything.
step up. That's the
Sengun
big
do
thing.
everything.
The excuses can't be, oh, he's still young. Now it's only win now because he's 36. So Sengun has to step up. Amen has to develop a jump shot.
Hey,
And
Sengun been hooping. Ain't
he
nobody
is.
been questioning Sengun.
Huh?
Ain't nobody been questioning Sengun.
No,
That man
no, he,
showed up.
that's what I say. He is a problem. But what I'm saying is it goes from being like, oh, like Sengun's putting up some numbers to that's an expectation. Can you take that next step? That's what I'm saying.
Hey man, hey, Sengun that showed me enough. I done seen it. I've seen it consistently enough from him. He's gonna
Yeah.
produce. Now, how it's gonna look alongside KD, that's yet to be seen. But I think his ability to, like I said, do everything. He can pass at a very high level. And you add KD to that mix, an extra shooter. He probably not gonna see as many double teams. I think they're in a good spot, man. Like you said, if they do decide to bring in somebody else, I'm interested to see who that is. Um, because like you said, they already got Sengun, you got KD. That's probably what the 3 and the 5 or the 4 and the 5, depending on their lineups. So you're looking at either bringing in a wing, or like you said, replacing Van Fleet, who's a point guard. But you got Thompson, who's gonna be probably playing the 2. Even if he don't develop a jump shot, that man's locked down on defense, and he can get to the hole whenever he want to.
That's fair. We'll see.
I think they're in a good spot, man. I think they're in a good spot. I'm not too worried about them not having a dynamic guard that can take over a game. a game, bro. They got enough pieces, bro. They not about to be out here scoring 80 points a game, bro. This is not about to be the Detroit Pistons in 2005. They'll be fine scoring, bro.
I hear you. I hear you.
And I think that their defense is good enough to, even if they aren't scoring 120 points or however many points they need to score, they can lock down on defense and get it done. People be sleeping on KD defense. You're not sold on it, but it's okay. It's okay.
I don't know what to expect out of a 36-year-old KD. Like, I know what I'm getting on offense. I
Bro,
just
this man just averaged 27, bro. What are you
exactly.
concerned about, bro?
Exactly. And there's no denying what he can do on offense. But you talk about he is effectively the leader on that team. And they're going to be expecting an NBA Finals. I just think they need another piece in order to get that. That the roster currently constructed is not winning the NBA Finals. We can be honest about that.
Well, see, I don't. Well, see, I don't see them winning the. Like I said, like I said before, I don't even know if they win in the West.
Right.
I started off by saying that, but I feel like you got a better shot than you did last year. I think the conversation going into the playoffs was like, yo, I want to see Houston. If I'm a lower seed, I want to play Houston. Now it's like, oh, I don't know, bro. They got KD over there now. It's a little hesitation now.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I just don't want to deny like you lost like Jalen Green we'll deal with. But like Dylan Brooks a lot of times set the tone defensively, bro. Like I'm just saying we'll see. I don't necessarily
Colin. Dylan Brooks set the tone defensively. The crash
yes.
out Dylan Brooks set the tone defensively. Did you
Crash
not
out
see
Dylan.
Ben Thompson?
Yes, and Ben Thompson is a lockdown defender. We know that he's gonna be guarding the best player. But I'm saying the defensive culture that was definitely set by Dylan Brooks.
That was set by Ime. Ime is the system. Ime
Bro,
is the defensive system. Dylan Brooks is the defensive system. Yeah, he might have set it. Yeah, he might have set the tone and got some technical fouls and crashed out or whatnot. Cool. They can replace that.
With who?
There's players out there that replace Dylan Brooks, bro.
Okay.
Marcus Smart.
I'm just saying, let's pause. Let's pause. Like, we gotta understand. Like, this is with the expectation that for 36-year-old KD is to win the NBA Finals. That's why you traded for him. That's gonna be the expectation. They don't win the West. If they don't even get a top 3 seed, there's gonna be questions.
And you think them keeping Dylan Brooks was gonna win them an NBA championship?
No. I think you had to make a move, but I'm just saying the silver lining in this is that they're saying they're still going to be aggressive. They need another piece to be formidable in the West.
Okay, so I know you said you don't know what player that is. What type of player is that? Do you go get another defensive stopper, a Dylan Brooks replacement? Is that what you're saying? Because you talked about setting the tone defensively, but then you also had some concerns about their offense.
Yeah, it's a layered problem.
Okay. So what type of player do you bring in? Jaylen Brown?
Low key, I would inquire. Like that's a solid piece. I would make a call for Trae Young and see what they're asking.
Bro, you just talked about Dylan Brooks.
No, I'm talking about it.
Like, defensively.
There's layers.
You want to play KD and Trae Young together?
Bro, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I said it's a layer problem. So first of all, it's the defense. Second of all, like I said before, with KD, he has played well with dynamic guards like Steph, like Kyrie, like Russ. We have all acknowledged that Trae Young is a dynamic guard and he could be available this offseason.
Hold on, brother.
Huh?
Hold down. Slow your roll. Hold on. You just mentioned Steph
You know I'm not comparing.
Kyrie Irving. Russell
See,
Westbrook.
the clips don't have
And
it.
you
Don't
want,
have
and
the clips.
you want
I
Katie
can
to
see
play
all
with
the
Trey
clips.
Young?
They're not saying that they are the same player. I'm saying in terms of what KD has succeeded with, it's a guy who can get his own. Trey Young can get 25 a night easy, easy.
He can, but is that winning basketball? Like we talked about before with players like LaMelo Ball. We talked about playing winning basketball. When was the last time we saw Trey Young playing winning basketball?
No, don't do that. Don't do that because a couple episodes ago, we talking about he ain't had the chance. I'm like, what? Like, come on. We like when has he had a chance? Did he not go into New York and win in the playoff series? Oh, okay. I got you.
Oh wow, he won one series.
I'm just saying with what
Whoop de
he had.
doo.
Oh boy.
But see,
Oh boy.
like, okay. So say for instance, you bring in Trey Young. That's a totally different team, though, bro. Like now you got to figure out how to play together.
Yeah.
I feel like that's more of a problem than you just trying to plug in KD and figuring it out. Like I feel like
And
you can go and get a different player like I said, Jalen Brown, and it will probably fit a little bit better than Trey Young having to figure out how to play with KD.
yeah, for sure. I agree with the Jalen Brown trade, but I'm saying with Trey Young in the half court, him, Sangoon, and KD. Are you kidding me? Like that's instant offense. Like yes, you would take a dip defensively, but I would consider it. The thing
And
is, when you go in a half court offense, when teams have brought you to half court, yes, you can just throw the ball at KD, get a bucket. Yes, you may be able to throw it into Sengun and get a couple of buckets, but it's like that offense is not fluid enough in order to win an NBA Finals. I think you need a dynamic point guard who teams are worried about, but also can run an offense because Trey Young, he gets a lot of assists too. So it's like you get the best of both worlds. Brand Fleet can give you that anymore.
I think you can.
So in December when you texted me, bro, Fred, don't be like,
Nah,
oh,
hey, nah. I'm, I'm gonna text you when they make a big move. I'm gonna be like, I told you it didn't work. Told you it wasn't gonna work. When they make a move for Trey Young and he out there getting cooked, yeah, he might have 25, but he gonna give up 35.
too. Let's stop.
Hey, Van Vliet is a better defender than Trey Young. I tell you that.
Yeah, they're pretty much the same, and Fred gives you less offensively than Trey. So give me Trey.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see.
All right, let's keep going, man. So my Celtics made a trade last night, I believe, for Anthony Simons trading away Drew Holiday. Um, Not gonna get into the specifics, but a couple of pick swaps. We got 2 second rounds and Anthony, and we traded Drew Holiday over to the Blazers. This is Drew Holiday's second time being traded to the Blazers. He was a part of that initial James trade. Um, I think overall it was a good trade for us. Like I tell everybody who's asking me about the trade, I was like, when we won that trade, we needed to get younger. Anthony Simons provides a little bit more scoring. And there were a couple of times in the postseason run, even with the Magic, you can go back on the pod and you hear me say this. Him and Al Horford just looked a little bit old, and I feel like Brad wanted to find something that if Tatum's going to be out, who's going to be a great scorer that we could potentially put in that number 3 scoring slot. Anthony Simons was the best option available. If you go look at his tape, even in Trailblazers, he was getting over 20 a night, and I think he provides more for us offensively than Drew would have ever provided for us. And that's no not to Drew because Drew was a you know defensive guard, but I think for what we needed, we need scoring, especially with Tatum being out because it's a huge drop off, and I think Simons provides that. And we got him for cheap. What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think y'all like won the trade, but like I'm interested to see how it's gonna work out.
Yeah,
Um, Like we just talked about with Trey Young. Like Anthony Simons has not played winning basketball. Like he's a great scorer. Um, Shoots the three at a high clip. I love his game. I was surprised that Portland, gave him up. But I'm definitely interested to see him more in that, point guard role, playing alongside other players who can score. I know they said that y'all weren't done making moves. Um, so we're gonna see what else y'all can do. But I'm interested to see how that's gonna work out with him playing alongside Jaylen Brown. Um, those two being in the backcourt. But for Portland, like I said, I was surprised they let Anthony go. Like I said, like they were 3 games out from the play-in. They were in a good spot. They got a high pick. They got some good young pieces. It's like, yo, like Anthony was a big piece of what y'all were building, and y'all just let this man walk for Drew Holiday. Like I get it, Drew Holiday is like you said, like an all pro type defender type player. He's getting older, but that's what y'all give up.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of confusing to me. I saw some reports saying that like they wanted to bring in a person like Drew to mentor Scoot. Um, I guess to kind of salvage any value. I don't get it because you still have Flanagan and like you just said, like your roster, y'all had a couple of players that were like making all rookie teams, all NBA defensive teams. So it's like y'all weren't far off from being contenders. I just think in the West, it's different than the East. A lot of times, like when people watch the playoffs, feel like, how did Indiana get there? But people know that the West is only getting stronger. And I feel like it was kind of like a semi-white flag for Portland saying, hey, we're going to try to salvage any value we have in Scoot. And I don't think Drew Holiday stays on the roster the whole next season. But I think they're just kind of going for a rebuild. I doubt Chauncey's going to be there any like much longer. Um, and I just feel like this is kind of that same kind of strategy with the Grizzlies. It's like kind of waving the right flag and trying to rebuild temporarily so that we can make a stronger one run in our conference.
Yeah, I get the thought process in that. The only difference is Portland traded their Ja Morant.
Yeah,
Memphis still has Ja. They still have Jaren Jackson for now. Bro, you just traded your number one option for
yeah.
Drew Holiday. Bro, you could have got more than that, bro. And then you trade him to
I,
Boston?
yeah. I don't get it, bro. I don't know what they're trying to do. And who else is on the trade block? Like we are assuming that it might be Simon. Simon's could be the domino for other players. Shaden Sharp, Aiden. I don't know what the overall plan is. Like I
Yeah.
have an idea, but we don't know.
Yeah. And if, like you say, if they are waving the white flag, if they are, just about to go from 3 games being in the play in to tanking, essentially, shoot, if I'm other teams, I'm making that call. Jeremy
Yeah,
Grant, Aiton, Shaden Sharp, they got some
honestly,
players out there.
they're gonna trade Cunningham with him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. Yeah, so I'm not gonna spend too much time talking about the pool trade. Give me your initial thoughts on that. We don't have to go deep dive into it, but just so the listeners can know, today the Wizards traded with Pelicans. They traded C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and second round pick for Poole. And let's see what the details are for Poole. Yeah, so the
Sadiq
Pelicans,
Bey, 40th pick.
yeah, Sadiq Bey, and 40th. So just give me a high level summary. We don't got to deep dive this
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what both of these teams are doing.
one.
Pretty plain and simple. I'm confused. This move doesn't really move the needle for either team. Um, Pelicans, bro. What are y'all doing, bro? What are y'all doing? Literally, what are y'all doing, bro? Like plain and simple, bro. Like Zion has not been on the court. Y'all already traded Brandon Ingram last year. Y'all traded McCollum today. Murray is about to be a free agent, and he just got hurt. You got Trey Murphy, you got Herb Jones, and you decide to bring in Jordan Poole, who has not been playing any winning basketball since he left the Warriors, where he played alongside Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond. And y'all bring in Jordan Poole. What are y'all doing? Are y'all trying to win? If y'all are trying to win, this is not going to be a winning formula. I can tell you that right now. Y'all are not going to be winning the championship with Jordan Poole. Wizards. Wizards, what are y'all doing? Y'all just getting older. Y'all got all the vets. Literally. Marcus Smart, CJ, Chris Middleton. Who else y'all want to get? What are y'all doing, man? Y'all about to be sorry again. Y'all probably about to be last in the East again.
Hey, I mean, I, I don't know what they're trying to do. Honestly, I
About to
wanted
be
to.
last in the East again. That's what they about to do.
They got Marcus Smart, Carlton Kerrigan, Bilal Coulibaly, Tyshawn George, Corey Kispert.
And I'm glad you brought up Bub. You got Bub at point guard. Why'd you bring in CJ McCollum? Is he going back to the two?
Yeah, he has to. I think they get off of Smart. Smart gets traded. I think they go Sar, CJ, Bub, Middleton. No, who's gonna be playing the five unless you get Sar at five.
Okay, they might not be last. They might be above the Hornets.
Yeah,
They might be
I mean
above the
they're
Hornets.
contenders. I just feel like the only thing I can really chalk it up to is because they didn't get any first out of it. Like usually when you're trading old heads like that, you want expiring contracts and get a later first somehow. They didn't get any picks off of it, so the only thing I can really chalk it up to is them trying to mentor Sar and these young players like Carlton, Sar, Bilal. But even Bilal has been in the league for about 3 or 4 years, so that's the only thing I can think of.
And I think I mentioned it to you before the pod. Going into next offseason in 2026, they'll have around 100 million in cap space. So
Yeah,
maybe they go make a splash next summer in the offseason. Look at who's available. But if I'm any of them stars, I don't want to go to Washington. Them boys been sorry for years, literally for years. Them boys had John Wall and Bradley Beal. Them boys ain't been good since.
yeah. I think they just want to. I think they're trying to fill their roster with veterans so they could at least compete. I don't think they're going to compete well, but I think
Compete for
that's the
what?
only. I don't know.
They better be competing for the number one pick. Compete, bro. Bro. What, bro?
I think they're trying to.
Y'all were
They're trying.
11 games. No, y'all were 21 games out of 10th place,
But see, the thing is, Hondo, everybody's not trying to win. We want everybody to
and that's
be
the
winning.
problem.
People want relevance.
They not gonna
People
be
want.
relevant. They about to be last in the East. That is not relevant.
I
That
agree,
there is nothing relevant about being last in your conference.
but that's the only thing that makes sense in this trade because they didn't get any picks out of it. You traded away Jordan Peele, you traded away Sadiq Bey, and you didn't get any high picks in return. So the only thing you just got a bunch of old veterans. What unless they're just doing it for cap space, this year's a dud again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna want to play unless the bigger play is as you go into next season, people injuries happen, contenders start to emerge, and you can trade a Chris Middleton here and a CJ McCollum here. That's the only thing I can think of. And just get your first then, but other than that, there is no purpose of the trade.
If I'm a team and the Washington Wizards offer me Chris Middleton or CJ McCollum, I am not giving y'all no first round pick.
Not this year, but I'm just saying like people will be trading 2028, 2029
I'm
picks for
not giving you no future first round pick.
a team will. If you're in Milwaukee's position, and I'm not saying that he's going back to Milwaukee, but if you're in a team like okay, we got to talk about. They just reported a trade with KP. Um, but if you're a team like so, Boston, Atlanta, and Brooklyn are finalizing a three-team trade. Kristaps and a second-round pick to the Hawks, Terrence Mann to Atlanta, and numbers 22nd pick to the Nets, and George Neon second round to the Celtics. So that was really just a dump for salary cap.
Yeah.
Kristaps is a hawk.
Mm.
But
Trae
yeah,
Young, get out. Trae Young, get out of Atlanta. I got the same message for Trae Young that I have for Devin Booker. Get out of Atlanta, brother. It's time. Time is up. You've done your time in Atlanta, bro. Y'all are not going anywhere. Get out of there. George Niang is a solid piece for y'all. He provides some shooting. He'll be a solid role player off the bench. You said Terrence Mann going to the Nets? Huh? I don't know what you said, brother. I just saw it. Oh, nah, brother, can't hear you, brother. Yeah, yeah, your mic went out again.
they said Terrence Mann is going to the Nets with Atlanta's number 22 pick.
Well, you sound super low, but I heard you. Yeah, what? The Nets, another sorry franchise. 26 and 56. Terrence Mann is not moving the needle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is the salary dump for the Celtics. They just needed a partner and a three-team trade. That's all this was. But speaking of that, we got the draft coming up tomorrow. You got a
Mm-hmm.
lot of teams that the draft gets real interesting after number three because we assume that it's going to go flag to the Mavericks at one. That's kind of been deadlocked since 2 months ago. And then everybody's speculating that San Antonio is going to go with Dylan Harper. So I guess from three on, how are you feeling about the draft? And who are you ready to see get drafted? Who is your favorite player in the draft so far?
Well, man, shout out to my Duke guys first, man. We got several players going in the lottery. I don't know who North Carolina got
Drake Powell.
getting drafted, but I know Duke got some guys in that draft that's gonna help some teams out. Starting off with Mr. Flag going number one. Khan is a shooter. Some people didn't believe in his ball handling, but he can do more than shoot. Um, and then we got Maluwak. Down low, he's a project. But he's a defensive stopper. But he's young, man. He's young, man. He could definitely help a team out. Give him a few years to develop. But I'm excited to see the Duke guys go. Um, and I know you mentioned Dylan going number two to the Spurs. Now that I think about that a little bit more, how's that gonna look? Because they got De'Aaron Fox.
I mean, I think you bring hit Harper off the bench. You go Castle at two, and I think that gives you a punch with your second unit. Hopefully, Dylan can step up and with the second unit, we'll see if he's able to run a team or not. I think when it gets time to pay Fox again, you really have some big decisions to make because if Harper's him, then you just trade Fox, get more pieces, and keep building that way.
That bothers me, man. When team when teams draft players and like they don't necessarily like need them, that bothers me, bro. Like you got Fox as your starting point guard. You gonna waste the number two pick for somebody that's about to be coming off the bench.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to think like Fox is young, but he's still in a different timeline than Wemby, Castle, and whoever you get in 14. So I feel like for them, with the money that you're paying, because like I said, bro, everything changes with this new apron because you got to think in 4 years or maybe three now, when you got to pay Wemby, the number might be astronomical. So you're going to have to start building like Oklahoma City and just try to bring people off the bench and see what you got. We don't even know if Harper's going to pan out. We just got to see what we got. And I think the best way to do that is get him mentored by, you know, your Chris Pauls, your De'Aaron Foxes, and just try to develop into that player. So when it comes time to pay Wemby, you can kind of move off of your more expensive guys, and you have younger pieces coming up. They could try to do him like Benedict or Kaminga, where it's like, yeah, we know we have the star, we're just not gonna pay him as much, so we don't have to pay him as much.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know, bro. Cause like I feel like we talked about this whole pod, bro. The West is only getting tougher.
Yeah,
You have I understand that you said that Fox is on a different timeline than Wemby and Castle and all of that, but like, bro, when you got an opportunity to win, bro, you gotta try to win, bro. So if you are the Spurs and you're considering drafting a Dylan Harper at 2, bro, why not trade that pick and go get somebody who's solidified in the league already? Go get a star and add them to that starting lineup. I just don't know about taking a Dylan Harper thinking about the future. Bro, I'm trying to win now. I think there has to be a sense of urgency in trying to win now. And that goes for every team, bro. And I know you talked about how like some teams are not trying to win. Bruh, everybody need to be trying to win, bro.
that ain't reality, bro. Like we can wishfully think that ain't reality, and you know that.
Teams out here want to be sorry. I can't believe y'all. Who let y'all run a team? Compete.
So who you most excited to see get drafted?
I would probably say Cooper. I mean, we already know where he going, but like, bro, like, is he gonna be him? Like, everybody been propping him up, like, bro. And think about this too. This man was only supposed to be graduating this year. He was only supposed to be in high school. He would have been going to Duke next year if he didn't reclassify. So
Yeah,
he young, he talented, can play multiple positions, can score from all 3 levels, can defend. I'm interested to see if he gonna pan out, man.
yeah.
Who are
Um,
you most excited to see?
Personally, like I wrote in my first article, man, I really like BJ Edgecombe as a prospect because I think he has the most um, versatility, like outside of Cooper Flag, of course, but in terms of his defensive ability and his athleticism on the offensive end, like he can really change a franchise, I believe. And I don't think it's necessarily from the standpoint of having to be the franchise player, but even if he sneaks to like a Philly or somewhere that's like could be contenders, like his defensive presence alone and athleticism, I think could be the thing that takes teams over the top. So he's the most exciting player in the draft to me. Um, obviously going into a deep dive, like I'm curious to know, like with um, like Danny Wolf from Michigan, what is he? Because in Michigan he was playing more of a power forward type of role, but he's 7 feet and he can shoot, so that opens up offenses even more because now you can kind of stretch the floor. And I forgot who we were talking about. Maybe I think it was like OKC with Chet. uh, Danny Wolf's a little bit bigger, so he can kind of still play that check role, but he can also find mismatches with whoever plays the four on your team. Um, so that's another player I'm interested in watching. Obviously, my North Carolina guys. We know Drake is going to get drafted probably late first, early second round. But even some of the other guys, like RJ probably won't be getting drafted unless it's late second, but he can still play and play on the team and provide you shooting. So I'm gonna be watching out for them. But that's pretty much it right now, man. Like I think the one of the things I want to talk to you about in this draft, man, is like we kind of talked about it before the pod started. There's a lot of great pieces and a lot of players that we were like high on in college in the second round and later rounds. And I feel like for this is the first time in a while where I've looked at the draft pool and I'm like, man, these guys you got Walter Clayton Jr. at 28. You know, he might not get drafted, but he could still help a team, right? And I'm thinking about what we were talking about with Indiana and Oklahoma City, teams that are trying to fill out their depth chart. I think a lot of these second later round guys could be undrafted free agents that still make a big impact on the team.
Yeah, and I think when you look at those later picks, I feel like, and I don't know if I talked about this on the pod, but like teams have to draft for like what they need, right?
Yeah,
So like, for example, if you need 3-point shooting, yo, go find a great shooter. Go if you need perimeter defense, go find a great perimeter defender. And these players can come in and fill a role and be those type of role players that you see, helping championship type teams. They aren't necessarily your top 5 picks, your top 10 picks that you're expecting to be the faces of the franchise. These are guys who come in and they fill a role, whatever role that might be. So that's always interesting to see what kind of those glue guys kind of stick and get picked up. So that's definitely gonna be interesting. But another player that I'm interested in seeing too, Queen out of Maryland. Like you said, like similar to Wolf. Like what position is he? Is he a 5? Is he a 4? I think his ability to score, definitely got to work on that 3-point shot more consistently. But his ability to score can definitely help a team. So I'm interested to see where he goes. Should be a lottery pick. Um, but we're gonna see, man. We're gonna see. Your microphone is out, brother. It is out. Cannot hear you.
close this up. Okay, can you hear me? We are done.
I don't know what you're saying, brother. That brother need a new microphone.
Yo, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. You just low.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, you got anything else that you want to talk about? Because that's all I can think about until we get more trades coming in.
Yeah, I think the only thing, like, I guess we just gotta wait and see about Giannis. Like I feel like
Yeah,
that's probably like the last big domino as far as like potential trades that we've heard about. Now, of course, anybody can get traded, as we saw with Luca
anytime.
at any time. So we might be on here later this week or after the draft or during the draft, whatever it might be. But I guess that's the bet. The next biggest domino is what's gonna happen with Giannis.
Yeah,
Everybody's talking about he's possibly staying in Milwaukee, but shoot, if I'm him, I don't know, bro. I don't know. So we gonna see what happened with Giannis. I guess that's gonna be the next big piece.
yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, and I will do some special draft content. Make sure y'all subscribe to our Substack. We're gonna be doing some draft analysis on there as well. Draft starts at 7:30. Coverage begins, so definitely tune in. We'll probably hop back home maybe tomorrow or right after to kind of go over draft content. But the offseason has just begun. We had literally just gotten off of the finals, and now we're talking about KD to the Rockets, talking about if Giannis will be moved. And that's just really kind of a snapshot of what this offseason is going to be. Like we said, I think it's going to be the most um, eventful offseason that we've had in a while. And a lot of it's because of that second apron. And a lot of it's because, teams are trying to win because they saw it Oklahoma and Indiana. They're like, wait, hold on, we got a chance if that's going to be the case. But yeah, we appreciate y'all showing love and sticking around this long. Um, if y'all have any comments and anything y'all want to add, man, definitely be sure to comment on our YouTube and social medias. We'll be sure to click this up so that you can have special content coming your way every day. If you have not already, go ahead and subscribe and just subscribe and share our page with somebody who doesn't know the winning shot. We just want to spread the gospel even through sports. And we have not just NBA content, we have WNBA content, we have college football coming. We also have the NFL. John, Hundo, and I are going to get on and talk about some of the offseason moves that have been made in the NFL. And we have a lot of more content even outside of that. I think, Hundo, you got some boxing content. So we got all things sports is with the winning shot. So definitely like, tap in, subscribe, and share with some friends that you know like sports, and even the ones that don't. So until then, we appreciate the love. Continue to show that love and spread that love with somebody who doesn't, who needs the love. But until then, peace.
Peace.